Hi class, welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. I have set up downstairs in the den because, well, it's just working out a little bit better here for today. And also I'm getting really great daylight and it helps the dot cam a lot. So hopefully it'll help you guys see what I'm doing now. Um, I know with my last video, we didn't get to do what we had planned on in class, which was doing more bracelets, right? Um, and I've been thinking really hard, like, should I try and do it this way when I can't be right in front of them and show them exactly what they're doing wrong? Um, and in the end, I decided, yeah, let's do it. I'm going to show you again. It'll be a refresher for some of you, but I'm also going to show you some new things that you can do. So even if you already know what I showed you the last time, I'll show you some new things and I think you'll like it. If you struggled a little bit with the last time, don't worry about it. I'm going to teach it again and I'm going to teach it in two different ways. Um, because when I show you guys stuff, sometimes the younger kids see and they're really excited about it. And there's a second grader who kept saying, Ms. Cordova, can we do, friendship bracelets in our class? And ooh, second grade, I gave in and I said I'd bring some yarn. So I did, and I showed him, but I showed him a different way because I didn't have clipboards with me. Uh, they were all in your classroom. So I had to show him a different way, and it actually, I think it might have made it easier to understand and to learn because he got it right away. So I'm going to show you a second way of doing it. So the first one never really quite caught on. Just hang with me a little bit, and this might work out. Now, you might not have yarn at home. I know that. That's something else I thought about too. If you don't have yarn, you can take some just colored thread, take a bunch of strips of it, and kind of treat, 5 or 6 strings of thread like it's one piece of yarn. You can work that way. I tried it with different colors of dental floss. Obviously, don't use all the dental floss, and only with parent permission, but you can use dental floss. It's essentially just like a string, a heavier string. You can use a couple other things too. You can use ribbon, uh, ropes, pretty much anything. Because what we're doing when we're making these bracelets is we're practicing knotting, right? With fibers is what it's called. And that's how weaving's done. That's how clothing's made. It's all just how you connect different pieces of string and what you make out of them. So let me turn on the dash cam and I'll show you what we're going to be doing today. Let's see, share. There we go. Oh, there's a shadow right in the middle of my screen. Hold on. Well, that should help a little bit. If I need to shift it again, I will. I'll just try and work within where there isn't a shadow. All right. So here's what we are doing today. We're going to be doing 2 strings or review, and then I'm going to teach it a separate way. If you're still working on that, that's fine. Just keep working through that. Just let the video play in the background while you do that. But if you get it and it looks right, then you can move on with me and you can do 3, you can do 4, and then I'll show you what it looks like if you do many strings. And there's a couple different ways we can do it and it'll create very different looks. So here's the original stitch that we were doing, right? It's just a simple knot around one string. Then we changed the string we were using and that's how we changed colors. Now you should never see the other color in between here. If you do, it means you weren't pulling your knot tight enough at the top, right? If you end up with some big loopy things you can poke your finger through, you were not tying it tight enough at the top. So that's what it should look like. Then if you get that, we can go on and I can show you how you can do the same kind of bracelet, but with 3 strings. And basically the difference is you hold 2 of the strings in your hand still and you wrap one of the strings around the 2 strings. It's exactly the same thing, except you can do it and have more different colors, not just 2 colors. Then if that goes well and you want to, you can work on 4 4 strings and what you can do with that. And this is a pretty common stitch, but you can also take the 4 strings and um, separate them and make this kind of stitch here. And that's how you get a longer strip of color there. And then in the end, if somehow you make it through all of that, I'll show you how to do just a big wide bracelet. Because I'm using yarn, it goes pretty quickly. When I learned how to do this as a kid, we used embroidery floss, or it's like what you cross stitch with, and that takes longer. So also, if there's any of that around the house, you can use that. Even small strips of fabric, like really thin strips of fabric, work just fine. So I'm not expecting you to do all of these. I just am giving you some more examples so that if you ace the first one, you can move on and have some more to do. So let's see. I'm going to move these out of the way, my examples. And one moment while I kind of that up over there, that over there. All right. So if things didn't work out for you quite perfectly the last time, don't worry, because I'm going to show you the top 3 mistakes. Like if you're making a mistake, you're doing one of 3 things, right? And I'll show you exactly what those are. So hopefully if you do get a little frustrated, you'll go, oh wait, that's what I'm doing. That's why that's going wrong. All right. So first things first, you take 2 pieces of string and tie a knot in them. If you do not know how to tie a knot yet, it is your lucky day. We're going to practice tying a knot. I'm going to do it with just 1 piece of string, all right? So I'll just tip this down low so you can see. So you will hold your hand out like this, and you will put the string across your palm, right? Then you're going to reach the string that's hanging over your palm and bring it up here between your 2 fingers and cross it like an X, right? Now let me show you what I'm going to do here. I'm going to hold on to this one with my ring finger and my thumb, right? Or my pinky and my ring finger. You see what I'm doing? And I'm going to take this tail here, this loose tail, and I'm going to push it. You see, I'm pushing it up and in between here. So it's like that. Then I'm going to kind of hold on to my ends and slide it off my fingers. Now here's what most students do. They pull it real tight right here. That will give you a knot, but it'll give you a knot in the middle of your thread. That's not what you want. So you're going to kind of hold one end and kind of try and convince the knot to stay over at one end. There isn't a perfect way to describe doing this. It just takes practice. All right, and that's how you get a knot at one end. If you do not know how to knot, if you have not done that successfully, please watch the video again and do it multiple times, because you will in life definitely need to tie a knot at some point. All right, so once you have knotted 2 pieces of yarn or thread or whatever you've got together. Oh, and by the way, look at what I did. See all that? Those are all little strips of string that I cut and knotted together for you guys. So I guess I'll have those on hand when we get back together. So if you have a clipboard, you can use a clipboard. Remember, if there's a little gap in the middle, you can do it right on the side. If you don't have a clipboard, you can use a carabiner, or you can use like a twisty tie or anything else just to hold it stable. So I'm going to show you the way I showed you in class, and then I'm going to show you how I showed the 2nd grader that seemed to help him get it, okay? So I'm going to tip this so you can see my hands at 2 different angles. All right. So I'm going to hold my right hand perfectly still, and I'm going to keep the thread a little bit off the clipboard, but tight. See how that's tight? All right. I'm going to take this little tail right here and put it over. I'm just going to flip it under, and I'm going to flip it into this loop here. See that loop? it has to come up in through this loop and make this shape. You're going to pull it up and away from you. So I'll do that again. Across, flip the tail under, right there, you see? Pull it up and away. Over, flip it under, up and away. Over, flip it under, up and away. If you're getting frustrated, take a deep breath. It will be all right. I'm going to show you another way to do this, okay? So here's how I showed the second graders. I said, all right, take your left index finger and hold the knot at the top. Now pull this one string tight, right? Kind of tight. Now keep this hand still. Don't move it at all. All you're ever going to move is this hand and this thread. So you're going to place, I know the shadow's starting to get in the way, so let's see if I can do this. I'm going to place it over, right? And I'm going to flip the tail under. You see where I flip the tail under this. So I'm kind of looping it around. That's all I'm doing. I'm going to pull it up and away from me, right? So I'm going to, like that, flip that tail under, pull it up and away. So I showed him 4 times and he learned it. And actually several other kids did too. So I'm kind of wondering if this might be the easier way to understand what to do. So again, putting it over, flipping this tail under here, pulling it up, oops. I let go and I shouldn't have, up and away. Now, here are the things that can go wrong. All right, let's see. Mistake 1. So if you're doing it the way that I taught you in class, you're going like this. Okay, I'm looping it. I'm looping it around. But oh, it just does that. It makes a spiral. All right, if it looks like that, it's wrong. Don't keep going. Here's what you're doing wrong. You're putting it over and you're flipping the tail under, but you're flipping it under like this. See? So what's happening there? You need that tail to be in this loop. See how this tail's inside that loop? You need to have it in that loop and you need to pull it through. It should look like that, right? And up. So again, you need to have it flip under into that loop, pull it up and away. And it has to be tight up there. All right, I'm going to change strings just because that one's getting a little bit short. So that's the first thing that sometimes you do. Actually, you know what? That was this one, not having the tail in the loop. My mistake. I showed you the wrong thing and showed you the wrong cue card. All right, now let's go to the real mistake number 1. That's when you, and I'm changing colors here just because one's short, right? That's when you go like this and you flip it under and you're great. And then you go like that and you move both your hands. Because when you do that, sometimes you'll get lucky and it'll do it right. But sometimes you'll do it and you'll get a weird knot and you'll see the other color in the middle there, okay? So always keep one hand still. The third mistake, or second, I guess, but third in the order I'm doing it, is you go like this. You're doing it all right, but you're ending up with something that looks like that. I mean, it's not going to look good because yarn stretches and over time it's just going to look bumpy and weird. So just do yourself a favor and take the extra second to make sure you get your knots way up there like that, okay? If you end up with weird bunches, it's probably because you didn't consistently pull your knot at the same tension. So you didn't always pull it tight. Sometimes you pull it tight, sometimes you just kind of let it there, right? So then if you do that, here's what happens. And then you start pulling it tight. Oops, it's getting short here. Then you get something that looks like this. Right? It's kind of weird looking. It's not terrible, but after this yarn starts to stretch, when it's on your wrist, it's going to look weird. So let's see. So if you haven't gotten the 2 strings done perfectly yet, just work on 2 strings. Practice that and get that down. Once you've done that, you can move on to 3 strings, right? You can have them be the same color or different colors. I'm doing different colors so that you guys can see and tell them apart. So if you are using 3 colors, you can take 2 colors in your right hand and hold them still. 1 color in your left hand to move it. And you just put 2 of them in the middle and wrap the 1 around the 2 of them, right? So it's going to look exactly the same as the other way I showed you to make bracelets. The only difference is you can change the color more times, right? Because the color that you're looping is kind of hiding the other 2 colors inside. So it'll also make the bracelet a little thicker, like wider. But you can just make different patterns. There's no set amount of knots that you have to do in a row before you can change colors, right? Usually 2 is a minimum, right? And since we're doing a stitch that rotates itself, you probably want to do, 5 or 6 at least. Otherwise, it's just going to look a little bit, you're not going to see the pretty spiraling shape of it. Because every time you switch strands, you're going to kind of restart that spiral shape. See? So now what I can do is I can go like this. Hold those 2 together. Oops, am I getting in the shadow again? Well, I do this. Now, there's a lot of ways to kind of grab the thread underneath. You can kind of flip it under with 1 finger. You can kind of grab it with other fingers. Any which way works. One other way to do it, if you've tried all this and it's just not working for you, try it like this, okay? Hold everything in your left hand tight. Kind of put your thumb up, right? You're gonna use your thumb to wrap it around and kind of hold it open so you can put that string through there and then pull it tight. It's kind of hard with shorter strings. It's easier with longer strings. But you can use your thumb to kind of hold that space open. Make sure you're getting the yarn through it, right? So that's one other way to do it. I'll show you that technique again on the next one we do, okay? So now we've done 2, we've done 3. That's 3, where's my 2? Well, it's here somewhere. Anyhow, oh, there it is. It's hiding in the shadows. So there's 2 strings. Here's 3 strings. Now let's do 4 strings. Where did I put my 4 strings? Is this it? Thought I pre-tied it. Maybe I didn't. No, maybe I didn't. All right. So Again, to tie my knot, I'm going to wrap it around. Take these tails. See where these tails are? I'm going to grab them. I'm going to flip them up and through my fingers here. I'm going to kind of grab this knot a little bit loosely and convince it to kind of stay towards one end. All right. So let's see, which color should I start with? I'll start from lightest to darkest. How about that? So this will be like a gradation. And since yellow is next to red on the color wheel, you would consider these pretty much analogous colors. So I'm going to do 2 stitches. 1, 2. All right. Make sure it's all nice and tight up there, especially in that first one. It's easy to get it not tight. I'm going to do 1. Just pick another color, whichever one you want next. Right. So 1, 2. Now make sure you don't accidentally kind of get little tiny strands from another one caught up in there. It'll just look a little funny. All right. So 1, 2. Now you just take this one that you just wrapped around all the other strands and you just leave it over there. If you've done it the right way, it should kind of stay that way anyhow. And you're going to take your next one. Now you're going to go 1, 2. 1, 2. Yes, you can do more than that, but it takes kind of like 2 knots like this, 1, 2, to really kind of secure the thread in place. That's why I don't do just 1. So I'm going to keep going. 1, 2. See. Let me just check the time so I don't accidentally go over again. Oh no, we've got time. All right. Where was I? Now I know that if I just left this and I come back, see how the pink is showing up there? That's how I know what to do next. So 1, 2. All right. Can you, oops, see if I can keep them both on screen. All right. 1, 2. All right. Well, I didn't pull those real tight, so that's going to be kind of loose there. It's not great, but so 1, 2. 1. Oopsies. I didn't have that stitch tight, so it got a little funky there. All right, now 1, 2. With yarn, because it's got all these little fibers coming off of it, it's easy to accidentally grab some fibers from another yarn when you're making a stitch. So if something just pulls really funny, just try and remove the last knot you did and see if you just grab some little strands and it made things pull funny. All right. Now, you can also kind of do it with, like I was doing with my thumb before. All right. Just to hold the strings apart. Might make it easy for some people, or easier. Kind of makes it easier to show what I'm doing in a way. If you're still working on the other stitches, don't worry about it. I do not expect anyone to get all the way to this. It's just an option if you guys have some time and you want to work on it. This is how you can make more advanced ones, all right? Since I did promise you guys we'd do it again, I thought we'd give it a whirl, all right? So 1, 1, 2. Again, if it's not looking right and you're seeing multiple colors, it's probably because you're going like this and pulling both arms. If you can't figure out what's going wrong, have someone watch the video with you and have them check to see if you're moving both arms when you're pulling your knots up at the top. Because if it's not looking right, the only reason it won't look right is if you're not doing something correct, if you're doing something wrong. And that's okay. It all takes practice. Hold on one second. 1, 2. 1, 2. All right. So let me show you. So see how it looks there? Yeah, probably you can see it. You can see it in the other camera too. Ooh, see this rainbow that's streaking across me here? There. That's actually called lens flare. It happens in photography. It just happens when light from the sun or something else extremely bright hits the camera lens at an angle that the camera lens kind of divides up the light and creates rainbows. And I think it looks kind of cool, but it probably doesn't help you learn, right? When you see all these other little textures in here, chances are that is either residue that's super tiny on my webcam, or it's actually the film that's put over that little webcam glass to prevent lens flare. And you know, sometimes it wears unevenly, and that's when you get stuff like this. So if you ever see that, see, look, oh, perfect. We were just talking about color the other day, and now I've got rainbows. Let's see what I can do here. There we go. All right, now I'm back. Let's see if I can't. Let me move my webcam again and see if I can get rid of this shadow situation. Hey, there we are. That works pretty good, doesn't it? Let me check the time again. Yeah, we're good. Again, if I just disappear, if the video just ends, it's because I accidentally went over again, but that tends to happen sometimes. All right. So again, if you're still working on other stitches, no problem whatsoever. If you get to something like this where you're using 4 and you are doing 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, when you make it, it'll kind of be like this. It'll kind of have this weird, like a little bit of a curve to it. Oops, I got pen on me. Don't worry about it. That is just because of how you're stitching it. Like that's just normal. As you wear it, or if you just kind of stretch it a little bit, it'll go away. It won't be there in the final product. Oh, did I make a mistake here? Oh, something went wrong there. I think I caught one of the threads. Yeah, I must have. Well, got a little caught up there, but it's not the end of the world. It happens. Just one moment. Got to take a quick pause to set this up, okay? All right, we're back. I was getting a little bit of an error with my microphone settings, so hopefully we're good. Let me go back to sharing my screen with you. There we go. All right. So some of you were just working on your bracelets. Whichever one you're working on right now, that's fine. I'm just going to keep showing you. Let me actually bring this down a little bit to see if that gives you a little bit better view. too. That gives you a little bit better view. All right. So now what you can do is if you're doing something like this, you can create some longer strips by kind of making two bracelets here, right? So I'm just going to take this one and make a bracelet just like I did before with just 2 strings. Just going to keep doing this. So over, flip the tail under into this loop, pull it up and away. Make sure you get the knots tight. Oops, see how that's a little stuck there from the fibers? Now, if this was a college class, it would probably be called a fibers class. Just means that you're sticking some strings of some sort, yarns, threads together, and you're making a material of some sort out of it, right? So you can do something like this, see how it's going. It's kind of making that spiral staircase pattern. And now I'm going to do it over here, but I'm going to do it with the yellow. You can count and make sure it's the same if you want, but if you're using yarns that are not exactly the same, and it doesn't matter if you count, you really just have to eyeball it. All right, is that about right? Now see right here how that white's showing through? I want to make sure my knotting is tight so that doesn't happen. All right, now because this yarn is bulkier than the yellow, that's why it looks a little bit weird. I should have planned that better, but nonetheless, if that happens, that's probably why. So let's see, I need to put a little pink in here. All right, now they're about the same length. So I'm going to take the white, and I'm going to go back to doing all 4 across, all right? So, oops. So 1, 2. Now I could change the order of these if I wanted to. I could put the pink next, but I'm just going to put the yellow next. 1, 2. One, 2. All right, see now how I brought it back together? All right, we're getting kind of close to the end of class time. So if you have had trouble with this, I know that I don't think the specialists, so like me and Miss Gable, I don't think we're doing office hours yet or at all at the moment. I don't know. But if you get frustrated, or you have a question, you can have your parents, or with permission, you can send me an email if you want to with a picture of what you were doing, and I'll look at it. And if it's a clear enough picture, I'll explain what you've done not quite right. It's just easier to see. So I am right in the subject, put your grade, then your teacher, your normal like homeroom classroom teacher, and then your name. So I'd be happy to help. If
if I get a good clear picture of what you're doing, I should be able to give you pretty good directions to help you out and get that right. Again, I know it was a little bit of a risk to try and do this by distance learning just because I can't, show you with your own strings, but I think if you watch carefully, you'll be able to do it. If not, again, you can send a note. Tell me even which part of this video didn't make sense. Tell me, hey, at 23 minutes you said something and that didn't make sense to me, and I'll be happy to explain it. All right, I appreciate that because you guys telling me where I wasn't clear is helpful. All right, so I think we're running out of time, but I will try to quickly show you how to do something with a whole bunch of strings, right? It's pretty basic, really. It's just, well, first you gotta get them all straight. And what do I say when you guys say they're not the same length? Say they don't have to be. But if you're using a whole bunch of strings, you actually want all of them to be quite long because you're wrapping them around so many, you're using up a lot of string horizontally and not making it a whole lot longer. So, right, so I just tied a knot. This is just for an example. I wouldn't do something that had strings that were this, like this short. I wouldn't, well, actually, why don't I just get rid of that one? This is just gonna look confusing in there. That one's gone. One less string. Let's see, now I lay them out to see what order, oh, there's another short one, but that's gonna stay. I'm just gonna see where I want them to go. Again, I'm not using these colors because I think they look great together. In fact, I don't, but it kind of helps them stand out a little bit, I hope. So here we go. All right. I think I'm gonna do them in this order. We'll see. Oops, I'm off cam again. There we go. If you get to this point and you can make one like this, that's awesome. In fact, send me a picture. I want to see it. If you can, if you're able to. I don't know what your family restrictions are on technology, so do whatever your parents say. But I think it'd be fun to see. So see how that's kind of catching there? There we go. It's just because it's yarn. And you certainly do not need to use yarn specifically, not at all. So, is that 2? Oh, geez. I think it was. I don't know. I guess if it wasn't, you guys will know because you can go back and watch it right now. One thing about when I'm recording video that's kind of interesting is I can't put it on pause and then watch what I just did. Nope, have to just keep going, and then in the end, I can go back and watch it. But I can't really just splice in, not easily anyhow, a new video. So I know on the first one I kind of commented to myself and everything, but it made really huge file sizes and created some problems. Actually, that's the only reason my video wasn't up sooner, although I got it up on time. So let's see. 1, 2, all right. Which one's next? I'm gonna do this one next. 2, 1, 2. All right. And now what's next? I'm gonna do this pink one. 1, 2. Making sure I get that knot tight. One over here. Put it 1. Oops. Yeah. See that 1? I should go with this. Oh wait, do I have one more string? Oh, I do. So 1, 2. All right, so now I've got that established. That is my order. Again, if the video cuts out, that's just because I hit my time limit. Don't worry about it. I just wanted you to start to see how you can braid things together to learn more about how weaving and knotting really works together, so that next time I can do a little lesson on that. We can talk about traditional kinds. Pretty much every culture and every society has got a different version of weaving and knotting, and uses different fibers. Some use, sheep's wool or angora or cotton or who knows what else. And it's pretty cool to see. I had been doing a dyeing exercise where I dye some fabric. I actually have the stuff to do it here at home, but I know that you guys definitely won't. I'm debating still just showing you guys so you can see what it looks like. Because it'd be really hard to do in a 40-minute class anyhow. That's my paper shredder. Well, that was novel. My paper shredder just decided to start running on its own. So I'm not sure why that happened, but actually, why don't I call it a day there? I'll show you guys some more the next time, and hopefully you guys are doing well. Take care.